audio?
That would probably help.
Because audio.
Because it's good to hear things.
Is it? Like the news?
I watch the news every day, and I hate myself for it. So, like, you know.
Well, as long as it's not Fox News.
Like, that's true.
Unless you like to hate watch stuff.
I try not to. I already doom scroll. That's enough bad vibes for me.
I did that, but then it caused me anxiety, so then I stopped.
I can't. I am not. Haven't quite gotten there yet.
No?
Nope.
Welcome
Woo!
to another episode of First Reaction, Fan Reaction. We're back.
We're back.
I was about to say or Fan Reaction, but that's our Patreon show.
Yeah.
Patreon.
But
Because I've been editing those episodes.
give us money.
But this is not that show where we both seen the show.
Mm-hmm.
This is a show where one of us has seen the show and loves it to death.
Yeah.
Besides some of its flaws, and the other person's watching it for the first time.
Yes, I know nothing.
Well, you know some stuff.
That's just independent of the program. That's just me in general.
Anyway, I have the power back.
Yay!
Oh, and I'm Dara Whitman. Hi.
And I'm Giggler. Hello.
Hooray.
Woo!
It's been a while since I've been... It feels like it's been a while, but I don't think it's... Has it been a while?
It's been a minute.
Been a minute? When did we finish Pushing Daisies?
I was literally thinking that on the ride over because I genuinely have no idea when that was. Now I'm going to go look to see when that was.
Was it the beginning of the year?
We usually do like all of our streams in December or January, and I'm like, it didn't take us a whole year to do Bakano though, did it? I don't think so.
Did it or didn't it?
No, I thought it took us like, well, maybe. No, we finished in like April, May, so less than a year, like 9 months. We spent the amount of time it would take to birth a baby watching Bakano.
To birth a baby or to make a baby?
Depending.
To grow a baby.
To develop a child.
All right, but anyway, I have the power back, and this is an interesting thing because we are doing our longest show because over 100 episodes.
Yeah.
So it's also I think we explained that like we're gonna split it in half.
Well, yeah, we're gonna try to break things up a little bit.
Right, and also it's our first sitcom.
Yeah, which is interesting. I didn't know how to feel about this.
What are your thoughts on sitcoms in general?
I'm not like a huge sitcom. I enjoy some, but I'm really not like a huge sitcom person. Like some people, I think for a lot of them, it's just like they like their comfort shows. I don't have comfort shows. A lot of people are like, I have favorite shows, but I don't really like if I'm watching something, I'm usually like I'm watching something for the first time. If I'm watching it again, it's because a significant amount of time has passed. I'm watching for something specific, or it's because I'm showing it to another person. So I really don't rewatch shows.
Yeah.
So a lot of people watch sitcoms and they're like, oh, this is my comfort show. I like to watch it, which is like, you know, a lot of people have that, but that's not my thing. So sitcoms, I tend to, like, I don't seek them out. Now, I have a lot of sitcoms that I like. They're not, like, the ones I'm like, oh, yes, this is the type of show that I enjoy.
It's weird. Like, I'm not much of a sitcom person, but then I realized that, like, most of the stuff that I watched during the pandemic was sitcoms.
Yeah.
They're easy to get there. Like, the ones I've seen are, like, kind of, like, the late 2000s, the ones, like, The Office, it's, like, weird. Like, I started with The Office, and I really liked The Office, but then I started watching other shows that I liked way more.
Right.
Like, I like Parks and Recs better.
Yeah.
And I really like New Girl, and then I like the show that we're currently watching, Community.
Community, yes.
Yay.
Right, full circle. Here we go.
Was it full circle?
I would say.
I thought it was like a road.
It kind of led us back.
Like Inception?
Sort of.
Except not at all?
Except not at all.
All right, so I originally watched I heard about the show when it first came out in like 2009, but then didn't watch it because, again, not really watching. I think, like, I was still, I was, like, watching, like, still, like, I don't even know what I was watching in 2009, not gonna lie.
What was I watching in 2009?
What was on in 2009?
I don't know. I was probably watching, like, anime or something.
That's fair.
Weird anime on the internet confined to my room.
I feel like I didn't become, like, an adult watching adult shows until I was, like, a senior in high school.
Yeah.
So I might have still been watching, I was about to say Lizzie McGuire, but I'm like, that's, like, way...
That was way far gone.
I don't even remember.
God, what was happening in 2009? High school?
High school?
Beginning of high school? Yeah, I don't even know what I was doing. I think I blocked a lot of that out. So
I don't remember what was happening Balloon Boy?
Americans were mesmerized today by an incredible drama playing out on live television. A homemade helium mylar balloon believed to be carrying a 6-year-old boy was racing out of control across the skies of Colorado.
You guys said that we did this for the show.
Oh my God. Wow, you pulled that one out of nowhere. Hello, good morning.
I literally was like thinking that it felt like a lot of stuff was happening in 2009, but I only just remember Balloon Boy.
I am surprised that you were able to nail down a date for Balloon Boy.
I don't know the date. I just remember 2009.
The late aughts were a strange time, I feel like.
They're not. I mean, hopefully they're the strangest that we have to live in our lifetime. Not like now.
Let's just talk
Community.
about the show. Community, yes.
Which is actually like a delight. So, first impressions.
It's fun.
Yeah?
Yeah, because I also remember when this show came out, everyone was like super into it. They're like, oh my God, this is so fun. You have to watch that. And me being me, didn't.
Yeah.
And up until now, it's been 13 years now. Let's not think about that. And still, So, and then not the sense that I was like, didn't want to watch it. I was just like, everyone's like, oh my God, the show's so good, you gotta watch it. Odds are, I probably will not watch it. And it was just never, I was like, oh yeah, I should check that out. And I never did. And it kind of ended up working because then we got to do it for the show.
Yay.
So, yeah, I enjoyed it. It's fun. Again, it's a sitcom. So I'm here for the jokes.
Yes.
I'm just here for the jokes.
Yes. So, I will we'll get like more into thoughts after I talk about it because we watched the first episode called Community.
Yes. That's it.
There we go. Roll credits.
Roll credits.
And so let's talk about the pilot episode.
Yes, please.
So we are at Greendale Community College in Colorado. I don't know if they say that, but it's Colorado.
Okay, Colorado.
And it's the fall semester. It's a week into that. We start off, we meet the dean, Dean Craig Pelton.
Okay.
That's his name. And he is giving, he's trying to give a speech.
Yes.
What is community college? Well, you've heard all kinds of things. You've heard it's loser college for remedial teens, 20-something dropouts, middle-aged divorcees, and old people keeping their minds active as they circle the drain of eternity. That's what you heard. However, I wish you luck! Okay, uh-oh.
And he basically says stuff like, we know what you think about community college.
Yeah.
You think it's for like that, like high schooler who like what am I thinking?
High school dropout?
No. Peaked in high school.
Peaked in high school.
And high school dropouts.
Yes.
And divorcees trying to get back into the world.
Yes.
And old people.
You trying to, continue their learning and knowledge. But basically he's like laying out, like, here's are the types that you're going to see on this show. And here's the types that you probably think go to community colleges. And yes, they're here. Welcome.
Hooray.
Woo.
I wish you luck. And then we cut to a walk and talk, and it's Jeff Winger, played by Joel McHale, who I think we've discussed in how much I love him.
Yes, I know you are a big fan.
And Abed Nadir, played by Danny Pudi, and they're having like a discussion. I would say having a discussion, but it's mainly Abed talking.
Yes, it's pretty one-sided.
It's pretty one-sided, and I love the thing that he's like talking about his whole life, and then Abed's like, "What was your question?" He's like, "What time is it?" I was like, "What time is it?" But then also Jeff kind of notices the pretty blonde.
Yes, pretty girl.
From Spanish class.
Español.
And wants to know, like, who she is, essentially, and if Abed knows anything. And I was like, well, I didn't get much conversation with her, but, and then just like, again.
Well, I only talked to her once while she was borrowing a pencil, but her name is Britta. She's 28, birthday in October. She has 2 older brothers, and one of them works with children who have a disorder I might want to look up. Oh, and she's going to flunk tomorrow's test, so she really needs to focus, and she's sorry if that makes her seem cold.
Holy crap. Abed, I see your value now.
That's the nicest thing anyone's ever said to me.
And then just like lists very like specific details about her life.
Right. So. And so that her name's Britta Perry. By the way, Britta isn't short for anything. It's just Britta.
Yes.
So I think like originally I'm like, oh, they're short for like Brittany or something. It's Britta.
Yes. Like the filter.
Like the filter. And she's 28 and she's like a very, I'm going to get to describing how the characters are when we meet them officially in like the study group.
Yeah, right.
But that's who Britta is. And Jeff wants to, get to know her better. And by getting to know her better, I mean sleep with her.
Yes. Get to know what's inside of her pants. Exactly.
But before that, we get to know a bit about Jeff, and he goes to see his buddy, who's a professor there, Professor Ian Duncan, Sean Oliver. Yay!
These guys knew you like I
he had
did.
so much hair back
A
then.
small office.
Jeff Winger, genius at law.
You gotta stop saying that.
I will never do that. Sit down.
Yeah, this is like
Cannot
late
figure out
2000s.
Yeah.
how to connect September the 11th with my DUI, let alone why that helped.
Well, 2002 was a simpler time.
So, what is my lawyer doing here?
I'm a student.
Well, that cannot be an inspiring journey.
He's played by John Oliver. Yes.
In his
I
late
just
2000s
like John
hair.
Oliver. I just really like John Oliver, so I was just excited to see him. Back in his Daily Show days at that point.
Right.
Yeah.
I remember. So there's a podcast, The Darkest Timeline, that came out around the time of COVID.
Yeah.
And it's Joel McHale and Ken Jeong. And they basically, like, what they would talk about, like some stuff that was, like, the COVID news, because Ken Jeong used to be a doctor, and I think his wife sells the doctor.
Mm-hmm.
And then also, like, talk about Community. And I think it was, like, John Oliver would say, like, this is how, like, doing Community was how we would relax, because, so,
Oh,
like,
yeah.
we'd, like, fly out to do Community. It's like, oh, this is, like, my chill time.
Yeah, right.
Versus, like, the horrors of what was going on in the news.
Yes.
It still is.
Yes, still going.
Is that, when's the last week tonight coming back? I miss it.
End of February, I think.
Oh, thank God.
They just they just came out with the ad for that. So
Thank God.
woo.
So we learned that Jeff, the reason that Jeff is here is because he was a lawyer,
Yes.
but his degree license got suspended.
Yes.
And he has to go back to community college to start to get his degree back.
Because he had some like basically his background on which his degree was founded is a little shady.
It's murky,
A little
like
murky.
most of Jeff.
Yes.
But basically, like, the joke is that Duncan says, "Oh, I thought you got your degree from Columbia," and then he's like, "And now I have to get one from America."
Yeah, get it?
The state bar has suspended my license. They found out my college degree was less than legitimate.
Well, I thought you had a bachelor's from Columbia.
And now I have to get one from America. And it can't be an email attachment.
Well, you picked a fine school.
Yes, and I'm hoping that our friendship will yield certain advantages. You know, academic guidance,
Yes.
moral support, every answer to every test for every one of the classes that I'm taking. Here's my schedule.
Oh, now, Jeff.
But Jeff doesn't really want to work at this. He just kind of wants to, like, get back to his life as a lawyer.
Yeah.
And
He's a little entitled.
He's
He's like a little entitled.
he's the asshole.
Yes, he is. Big
Or the
asshole.
straight man.
I guess so.
Both.
In a degree.
But he asked Duncan for all the answers to all of his tests, which, like, I don't know how he's gonna get. How Duncan get all of the answers to all of his tests.
I don't know, because it's not like they have them on display in the teacher room. They're like, hello, it's professor room. No, those things are probably like on professors, like on their desktops when they should be saved in like a shared drive or something.
Right.
Probably like terrible file management.
But we also learned that basically Jeff's, like, hold on Duncan is that apparently the way that they know each other is that Jeff was Duncan's lawyer when he got a DUI.
Yes. Yes.
Which we'll get back to. Not the DUI specifically, but maybe Duncan's alcoholism.
Yeah. Yeah.
But anyway, Duncan says no, so it's kind of just like Jeff's like, ugh, like, how am I gonna, like, get past these grades so I can get out of here?
Mm-hmm.
And then he has an idea, one, to probably help him a bit, and then two, get Britta in his pants.
Yes.
Or her, whatever. So we go to the cafeteria. We have there's a funny little bit with Pierce and this hot dog.
Yeah.
Pierce, Chevy Chase. There's, like, some of that with Chevy Chase, but, like, I think it's because, like, we know who he is, so they let him do some physical stuff.
It's Chevy Chase, so sometimes you just like look at the character and you're like, it's Chevy Chase.
Not to, like, dismay Chevy Chase, who I think is very talented. Maybe we'll get to that. We'll get to let's get to the stuff later.
Yeah, right, correct.
But, like, it feels like Chevy Chase most of the time just plays Chevy Chase,
Yeah.
which is fine.
At least, I mean, like these days, yeah.
But even back then, I don't know.
Maybe back then? I don't
Well,
know.
maybe Christmas Vacation was a different character.
Maybe.
Well, that's
Yeah.
more like a wholesome character.
Slightly more wholesome.
Right. So Jeff's in the cafeteria line and he sees Britta and he decides that he ordered to get her because one thing that she did say to Abed was that she needed to study for this test
Right.
that's coming up. So then he says, like, oh, I'm a board certified Spanish tutor.
Yep.
Why don't we make a study group?
Just lies right out of his ass.
Taking the class is an easy credit. I'm actually a Spanish tutor, board certified.
Can you say that in Spanish now?
Duermo tarde, español. Una hora más. No, mi coche.
I really need help with Spanish.
Yeah, I was willing to bet. I'm Jeff, or Jefe. The group meets at the library at 4.
Britta, thanks.
He's used to that. And Britta's like, okay, to join the study group that's going to be meeting later in the library.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so that's basically that. And that's how Jeff wants to get us in. So we go to the infamous study group room with the table. That's like,
which I recognize that immediately just from like gifs I've seen and everything. So I'm like, I know this is like a location.
I do kind of find it funny, like other sitcoms, like with like their meetup place, it's kind of like either like an office area or like a coffee shop, and there's just like a study room.
Yeah, it's just like in the library, a nice study room, which like good for them for getting that study room space, because like we all been to college, we know that those rooms were like always booked. At least back in my day.
I would just like study in my room.
Well, like you ever have to do like a group thing, and then you have to go to the library, and then you have to like go to one of those rooms, and they were like all busy.
I guess I never really did in a room. I just kind of like would just like meet in like a table.
Oh, they had very nice rooms when they finished
our
the
library.
Was
nice.
It was a very nice library when they actually finished it.
Because they finished it before we left, though.
Well, no, it was only the first year we didn't have it.
Oh, that's true.
I think that's probably why like we didn't even go that much, but it's because like we like had to go up through the whole first year without it. But also like we would go to like the food places and just study there. Yeah,
so
that's true.
There was that
good times.
College
memories.
Aw. So they go to the study room. Britta and Jeff are there, and so obviously the idea is that like Jeff says, "Oh, there's a study group," but then nobody else shows up except for them. So
right, like, interesting, no one's here. How about we get to know each other?
But Britta kind of seems like smarter than that. Kind of realized that like he's a douche and knows what he's doing.
Yeah, she's been around.
But then Abed comes in. Hooray!
Yes.
You're easy.
Hell yeah. Abed in the house.
Yeah.
Why?
Oh, Britta invited me. Is that cool?
Oh, I can't think of a single logical reason why not.
Cool.
There you go. Oh, hey, here. Put your contact info down right there. That's great.
Cool. Hey, this is kind of like Breakfast Club, huh?
We are in a library.
Well, yeah, I'm sure we've each got an issue balled up inside of us that would make us cry if we talked about it.
Do you have something?
You're liking Abed, aren't you?
I do. I'll tell you, like, the one thing I know about Abed is that, like, there was a quiz that was going around, I think, like, early-ish pandemic, you know, like pandemic, every week somebody had like a hyperfixation, and one time it was like this quiz where it had like a bajillion of like fictional characters, and then like you take the quiz, it's like, which one are you statistically most like? I got Abed from the Community.
I feel like I'm also like Abed.
So like that was really funny. I have a screenshot somewhere. Maybe I'll send it to you so I can show it to the class. But no, that was a character I was most like. So I've just been like trying to see like is that correct?
And like a little bit.
Only a little bit.
But so then Jeff's trying to get Abed out of there.
Yeah.
Through negative ways or like texting and stuff. But then
he's trying to like give him a hint, but Abed does not take hints. Does not take hints.
But then meanwhile, Jeff gets a text from Duncan. So then he goes out to meet him, and then basically they're he's still trying to Duncan's still trying to be like, morally, like, do you really want these answers? And Jeff's like, yes.
Suppose I was to say to you, it was possible to get those test answers.
I would say go for that. Anne could have said so in a text.
I'm asking you if you know the difference between right and wrong.
I discovered at a very early age that if I talk long enough, I could make anything right or wrong. So either I'm God or truth is relative. And in either case, booyah.
Oh, interesting. It's just the average person has a much harder time saying booyah to moral relativism.
You don't have to play shrink to protect your pride.
Right. Like he's trying to get him to do the right thing, and like that's not his it's only the first episode. We're not going to quite reach that yet, honey.
I know, and I'm kind of wondering morally, like, would I just like want the answers to the test?
I wouldn't, because I'm a goody two shoes. I believe I got to work for things.
You know what's funny though? At my synagogue, there's like this like test you have to take, but when you're like in elementary school, before I think like I don't know if it's like order to get like B'nai Mitzvah or like other stuff.
Yeah.
But or like to pass and go on to the next thing. But I didn't actually take the test because basically, because I had an older cousin, and basically what my aunt did was give the answers to my mom, and like that was a thing that like all the moms did.
Oh, it's just like this.
I think it's just like, can they worry about normal school?
There's this cheating ring amongst the synagogue moms. This is terrible.
I think it was just a thing like they didn't want us like worry about this, but we had to worry about school. Because I'd also remember we had to write like 2 book reports, and I just wrote one because I also had to write it for school, and my mom wrote the other one.
Oh my God, no!
Thanks, Mom.
Shout out to Dara's mom, everybody. My mom was a teacher. No way she was ever gonna do that for me.
I think my mom would do it for me in normal school, but it was different.
Right.
But Jeff's still like, no, I want the answers, and then Duncan's like, all right, like that kind of thing, and then Jeff goes back to the study room, and we get our full study group.
A babysitter, we're gonna be later than 10.
What board certifies a tutor?
Where's Britta? Not sure, but I invited more people from Spanish class. Is that cool?
It's the coolest.
I just wanted to get laid.
I'm gonna go to the bathroom and bring my jacket, wallet, and keys with me in case there's a fire.
Should we go with them?
I'm gonna leave my home with Slumdog Millionaire.
Oh. Aw.
2009?
Yep. Yay. And we see it. We just meet everybody.
Right.
Just
So
right
I'm
off the
going to
bat.
say, like I said, I already mentioned Jeff and like his story essentially. Britta, I'll say a bit more about her. That's her name. She's played by Gillian Jacobs.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like we can relate to Gillian as like probably people have said her name wrong.
That's true.
She dropped out of high school. She's kind of like that like rebel chick who likes to protest like different stuff.
Yeah.
And, like that kind of thing and wants to make the world a better place.
Right.
And then we'll get to later, like, maybe she does, like we'll understand that, like, she might be one of those people that, like, says this stuff more than she does stuff.
And she commits to it. Did she say that, we were kind of talking in this part, did you say she was she joined the Peace Corps, or did she not join the Peace Corps?
I don't know if I know she did join the Peace Corps at one point. I don't know if it's in the episode. It's not a big spoiler.
Yeah, I think she mentioned the Peace Corps.
Yeah, some of the stuff I'm going to say here is, like, they're not big spoilers, but it's kind of, like, they get brought up later, but it's not, like,
Yeah.
We have Abed Nadir, Danny Pudi. He's, his parents are divorced.
Mm-hmm.
I think his mom is like Polish or something, and then he lives with his dad mainly.
Yeah.
We're gonna know a little bit about him more, but like, that's kind of his story.
Mm-hmm.
We've got Troy Barnes, Donald Glover.
Donald Glover.
Yay!
Just big name kind of guy.
Was he big at like during Community or like?
Not really. I know, like, not that he wasn't. He was. I mean, I think he was.
He was like growing around the time that
he was definitely growing because dude's like a quadruple threat because he's like a stand-up comedian, writer, actor, and musician.
Right.
And he's not just like rap. He's like not to say not just a rapper, but he like raps and produces music. It's insane. So anytime I think about Donald Glover and just like his role of like it's just long list of capabilities, I'm like, god damn, that's good shit.
So he's Troy Barnes. He was in high school, so he's just out of high school.
Yeah.
And he was a football player who got a scholarship to another school, but he dislocated both of his shoulders in a keg flip.
And you're a stupid jock who lost his scholarship by dislocating both shoulders in a keg stand.
Keg flip. They're very hard to pull off. You don't know.
So they're fine.
This is fine. This is a good group of people.
And now he's to go to community college because he lost the scholarship, which, you know, sucks.
Yeah.
We have...
But he's the peaked in high school sort of type.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have Pierce Hawthorne, Chevy Chase.
Yeah.
Who's like kind of like the curmudgeonly guy who's still living in the past.
Yeah.
And like doesn't realize there's some stuff that you can't say anymore.
Yeah, right.
Jeff, it's a pleasure. My name is Pierce Hawthorne, and yes, that is Hawthorne, as in Hawthorne Wipes, the award-winning moist towelette. I was just going to ask. I'm also a Toastmaster, so perhaps I should do the introduction.
Definitely.
All right, you already know.
Toastmaster.
Abed the Arab. Is that inappropriate?
Sure.
Nope.
Roy the Wonder Boy.
Troy.
Little Princess Elizabeth.
Annie.
And finally, this beautiful creature is named Shirley. Is that even close?
I'd like to know why I had to find out about this group on accident.
Well, this is getting way more like Breakfast Club.
Yeah, but he's just like he's like that old man where you're like, oh god, I guess we have to have a talk with him.
But he worked as with Hawthorne Wipes, which was I think created by his dad.
Yeah.
But they were a big empire and they sell moist towelettes.
Moist towelettes.
So that's fun.
Yes.
Then we have Shirley Bennett, Yvette Nicole Brown, who we both know from Drake and Josh.
Yeah, like she's right. Anyone like our age would be like, yeah,
it's
Drake
this
and Josh.
and Drake and Josh.
Yeah.
So I don't think this is fully. She's I don't know if she's divorced or separated by this point, but basically the story she has 2 sons and her husband cheated on her. I'll say with the stripper because that's like not a big. But
okay.
So that's kind and she's kind of like upset that that's where her life went, so she's going back to community college.
Being younger does not make me inferior. If anything, your age indicates that you've made bad life decisions.
Shirley has a response to that.
No. Shirley looks like you do.
Please, Shirley. Go ahead.
Okay. I'm sure I've made some bad life decisions. And maybe Annie's decisions will be better. But I think she needs to decide whether she wants to be considered a child or an adult, because children get pity, but not respect. And adults, they get respect, but they also get the back of their head grabbed and their face pushed through jukeboxes. Hey!
Then we have Annie Edison, who's played by Alison Brie. And she is also just out of high school.
Yeah.
And her story is that, like, she was, like, this, like, straight A, smart, like, nerd type person.
Right.
And like, trying to be the best, and worked in order to be the best. She went on Adderall.
Yep.
And got
Adderall Annie is what they called her parents.
You're that girl that got hooked on pills and then dropped out. You're little Annie Adderall.
And then she got addicted to it and kind of, like, went crazy a bit, and then had to go to rehab, and then lost her, like.
So she's kind of a burnout in the sense that, like, she was supposed to achieve great things, and she seems kind of a little sensitive to that now.
So we have our group.
Woo!
And they're all flawed, and they all...
What a cast of characters. Very good.
They're a flawed group that brings out the worst.
Yes, exactly.
Because there's, like, this giant fight. Because basically, like, Jeff wants to prove to Britta that this group is, like, untutorable, so that they can just, like, leave and, again, get into her pants. So then he basically manipulates everybody into arguing with each other.
Yeah.
And some of the bits include Annie bringing up that Shirley probably made a bunch of bad life decisions.
Right. Well, because she seems like very insecure about the fact that she ended up where she is now. And so she views everyone around her as they're a failure, not she's a failure.
Right.
So.
What was it? Pierce, sexually harassing Shirley and not really.
Yes.
Why don't we try learning jukebox in Spanish?
What are you doing?
Pierce!
Let's discuss this creepiness.
Oh, no.
What are you doing?
I'm certified. Are you unaware that Shirley finds your advances inappropriate?
What advances?
You have been sexually harassing me since the very first day of class.
Sexually harassing? What? That makes no sense to me. Why would I harass somebody who turns me on?
Saying she turns you on is the harassment, dude.
I'm doing a bunch of, like, creepy old man things, which you definitely should not do.
I do like the line, how can I harass somebody who I find attractive? We're just like...
By saying that out loud.
I think Troy's still, like, living in, like, he's still, like, this, like, football player, even though, like, that's still not the case. And then also the fact that, like, him and Annie went to the same school and were in the same classes, but he doesn't recognize her.
Right, because they're in two different circles. He still wears his Letterman jacket because he's kind of living in the past, because he peaked in high school.
It's fine.
Peaked in high school.
Maybe more. Abed gives the speech from Breakfast Club. That one speech I've been thinking is about, like, Christmas.
You know what I got for Christmas? It was a banner year at the Bender family. I got a carton of cigarettes. The old man grabbed me and said, "Hey, smoke up, Johnny."
No, Dad, what about you?
The Breakfast Club. It took me like 5 seconds. I was like, oh my God, wait, this is the Breakfast Club.
That actually was from the Breakfast Club.
Nobody puts baby in the corner.
Dirty Dancing.
That was so good. It took me a minute, like when I was like trying to figure out what the hell he was talking about, and then it took me 5 seconds. I was like, wait, oh my God, this is just a bit from the Breakfast Club.
Well, like the thing with Abed is they try to make everything like a movie or a TV show, so like he's trying to make this Breakfast Club.
Yeah, right, exactly.
So while that's going on, Jeff kind of sneaks out again to meet Duncan, and Duncan's like, all right, here are the test answers, but I want your car.
Yeah.
So then Jeff's eventually like, fine. Mm-hmm. And then he goes back to the group. Britta comes out, and everybody's still arguing. Welcome to the show.
Welcome to the
show. Okay, I'm sorry. It was an accident. I did a little bit of lying to get close to you. But how was I supposed to know that you were smart and cool? I mean, you look like Elizabeth Shue.
You're unbelievable.
What do you want me to do?
Oh, maybe one decent thing could be to go in there and clean up your mess.
Okay, if I do that, then dinner, right?
Yeah, fine, whatever. As if there's a dinner on Earth that could make me forget. You are a shallow douchebag.
Hey.
But Jeff doesn't really want to fix everything. He just kind of wants to go out with Britta, and then Britta's just like realizing like, oh, he's a dick.
Right, like his whole thing is that he's a sleaze.
Right. Mm-hmm. So Britta's like, fine, like fix everything, and then I'll go out to dinner with you. Mm-hmm. And he's like, all right. So then he gives like this giant speech.
Yeah.
About like why humans are different. It's basically like one of those like great epic, not epic music, but like empowering music playing in the background.
Right.
We're the only species on Earth that observes Shark Week. Sharks don't even observe Shark Week. but we do. For the same reason, I can pick up this pencil, tell you its name is Steve, and go like this.
Oh.
And part of you dies, just a little bit on the inside, because people can connect with anything. We can sympathize with a pencil, we can forgive a shark, and we can give Ben Affleck an Academy Award for screenwriting. People can find the good.
And saying like how humans are different and like you guys should love each other and forgive each other.
It is like very inspiring because he knows how to talk. 'Cause he's a lawyer, so he's very good at talking and then convincing people to do what he wants.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's his whole thing that we see throughout the episode. That like he really makes up for all of his other flaws by just having a silver tongue and knowing how to speak to people.
Right, and then he pronounces them a community.
Forgive you, little twerp.
I forgive
Pierce,
you.
I'd like you to say I forgive you.
I don't.
I forget.
You've just stopped being a study group. You've become something unstoppable. I hereby pronounce you a community.
Roll credits.
Roll credits.
This isn't like Breakfast Club anymore. Now it's like stripes or meatballs, anything with Bill Murray, really.
I agree with all that.
Yay.
So they see what he solved it, so he's like, all right, Britta, let's go to dinner. And she's like, no, you're a dick. And then they just like kick him out.
Yeah.
What I think is the difference like most shows is like when somebody does that, then they all join together and are friends, but they're kind of like, bye.
They realize that like he's an asshole, so like, goodbye.
I have a dinner engagement with Britta. Britta?
I lied. Thanks for calming everyone down, but since you're not a Spanish tutor, just a lying creep who purposely upset everyone in an attempt to get with me, I'd appreciate it if you left and stopped wasting all of our time. Everybody ready?
Fine. And I'm happy to report that one of the benefits of being a lying creep is having all the answers to tomorrow's test.
So then Jeff's upset, but then he's like, well, I have all the answers to all the tests, so screw you guys, I'm going home.
Right.
But then he opens up the package when he's like leaving and realizes that like Duncan just messed with him. He just gave him a bunch of paper.
But like it's all blank paper. And so because we thought that Duncan was going to be easily convinced, but it turns out no, he did choose the moral high ground.
So then Jeff confronts Duncan about that, but then as that happens, he goes back outside and he sees Pierce again. And Pierce tries to like talk to him and give him like old man advice.
Yeah.
He's like, I've been married 7 times.
I like you, Jeffrey. You remind me of myself at your age.
I deserve that.
I've been divorced 7 times. Sometimes I think I'm doing something wrong. You keep getting married. I never looked at it that way.
Yeah, which sounds like a problem.
Sounds like a problem. And then
Sounds like you should stop trying at that point.
I think he has stopped trying. I forget what his last marriage ended, but like, I think at that point he just kind of stopped. But then everybody else comes out, and I love Troy's line where he's kind of like, yeah, it got kind of boring after you left. And then they see all that Jeff's sad, and then they're like, the girls are kind of mouthing, and like
They're having that like silent conversation.
And then Abed ruins by saying like, am I deaf? What happened?
What's going on? Can you guys hear me? Am I deaf? Can you hear me talking right now? Yes?
I did forget there was that one line as Jeff was leaving. It was like saying, Abed, and you have Asperger's.
That was horrible.
And then Pierce was like, then why do they give it such a funny name? They should give like a serious name like meningitis.
That's terrible. There's jokes you could say in 2009 that you couldn't say in 2022.
That's like kind of like some of the humor where it's kind of, like you're like, what was like I forget the last show. Oh, Pushing Daisy, where like some of the jokes and we were just kind of like, oh, that's like very much like that time period.
Right? It's like, oh, that was a joke I was supposed to find funny. I did not. not for like up in arms reasons, just because like just culturally things have changed where like those things just aren't funny.
Well, I think some of the points with like some of the shows, like a lot of them, like I remember like Pierce says that it's kind of just saying like, oh, he's old, so like it's
right, like that, and that's the part of the humor is that like saying something that's wildly inappropriate because you just completely out of touch.
Right.
Yeah.
Which like I kind of find funny, but I kind of feel like we've like started to like grow away from that as well.
Yeah.
Which is like good, but I'm also like I still kind of find some of them funny.
We've more come to the terms of like sometimes you just have to call out old people and say you can't say that anymore. I've had to do that a couple times in my line of work.
Or today. Not today.
I don't think I've had to do that today yet.
But anyway, so they let Jeff back into the study group, and then that's basically the end. We end on "Don't You Forget About Me."
Really?
Well, it is your study group, so.
Come on, let's study.
Sounds good. Fresh.
I'm sorry I called you Michael Douglas, and I see your value now.
Well, that's the nicest thing anyone's ever said to me.
Don't you forget about me.
So the end. Pilot. We did it.
Pilot. It's fun. It's a really good setup for a pilot, I feel like, because it does a good job of just like introducing all the characters and you're like, hey, this is the show. This is what's going to be the show. So I'm like, okay, cool. On board. Like you can see where hijinks are going to happen. And so you can it's a good setup. So you're like, okay, I can see where we're going to go from here.
Yeah, I think the one thing that I kind of found funny, because I rewatched it last night, and as I was watching it, I'm like, wow, this show started off really normal. And I just remember like all the crazy stuff that happened.
Yeah.
Like later on, like I was like I'll say like season 1 is a very like typical like season 1 of a sitcom until like I'd say like maybe like midway to like the end. Mm-hmm. Then it kind of gets like it's like the thing you forgive with the first season is like they're finding their like roots and like trying to figure out what they are.
They gotta establish like a solid foundation.
But there's still like some good jokes, and I still appreciate that. Do you want some different references and or trivia?
I would love some trivia.
There's actually a lot on this wiki, which I'm really happy about.
You told me there is a lot of trivia, and like I'm ready for like a big trivia show because honestly we didn't have a lot of trivia on our last show, and so like trivia was pretty lacking.
Maybe like with Pushing Daisies because they don't. The shows that I find don't have great wikis, so I'm happy that this one does.
Yeah.
So it's like basically like there's like theme and tags for like continuity and running gags. Pop culture references. So obviously we said The Breakfast Club. Mm-hmm. Ovid's like trying to like make everybody do The Breakfast Club, and then he also quotes Dirty Dancing at one point. And then he says like, "Oh, Jeff's more like Bill Murray from like Stripes or Meatballs."
Yeah.
Probably one of the offensive things Troy's called Ovid Slumdog Millionaire.
Yeah.
That was like came out right before though. So
right.
One of the things Jeff and Ovid both say that Britta looks like Elizabeth Shue. For a meta reference, Jeff is called Brian Seacrest by Troy. This references a friendly rivalry actor Joel McHale has with one-time fellow entertainment personality.
Oh, I don't think I knew they had a rivalry.
It wasn't a real rivalry.
Right, but still.
Well, I think the joke was, I remember like on The Soup, like Joel McHale would always make fun of Brian Seacrest. I think like partially for his height. Mm-hmm. But everybody was like, like whatever. I gotta get a drink of water. I talk too much. Not talk too much, but like.
Talk a sufficient amount because that's what happens when you have the power.
Yay!
It's a lot of talking.
Trivia. Woo. The original script for the pilot had a number of differences from the broadcast version, including a dialogue extended scenes and most notably a different last name for Jeff, which was Crocker, which I think Winger sounds better than Crocker.
Yeah.
Also, Cafeteria Lady made recurring appearances throughout the episode, but all the scenes, with the exception of her meeting Jeff, were cut. The original script can be... Oh, and then they have a tag to the original script.
Okay, cool.
I think like there's like some stuff that's like cut from like the Netflix version versus the Amazon version as well. When giving the look left speech, Jeff says that instead of giving you the salt, you ask for... Wait. When he gives... Okay, so it's called the look left speech. Says that instead of giving you the salt, you ask for, Abed will give you the soup because soup is better. Joel McHale would play the host. It was the host of the soup. I think he was still doing that though. Like I forget when the soup ended. Yeah. For his community, but he was like basically doing both. Mm-hmm. Troy called Jeff Seacrest, which I mentioned. Britta claims to have been in the Peace Corps, volunteered after dropping out of high school. This would not be possible as a Peace Corps generally requires a minimum of a bachelor's degree for acceptance into the volunteer program. Britta does not have the background for its non-degree position. So
interesting.
This episode was in memory of director John Hughes, who directed The Breakfast Club. I guess I forgot when he died in 2009, right?
Did he? Let's see. Yep, 2009.
I did it. The following scenes were absent from the versions available. Oh, this okay. So I guess we watched the Amazon version and the Netflix version due to being from the syndication cut. No, but those words in the Amazon. That's weird. So it sounds like they were cut from the Amazon version, but I think we saw these scenes at the very beginning of the episode where Dean Felton tries to and fails to switch the boombox from tape to mic. Instead, he gets
Yeah, we saw that.
So that was there.
Yeah.
Jeff's comment on the size of Professor Duncan's office. Duncan and Jeff reflecting on the time. Yeah, those were all in the Amazon cut. I don't know. The Chalupa incident is so like I guess like they saying they were cut from the Amazon version, but like they weren't.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why they could Wiki change your thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So these are all stuff that's cut. They said that it's cut from there, but I don't think it is. And that's all the trivia for the pilot.
Woo. Pilot trivia.
So solid pilot. Solid pilot.
Solid pilot.
Yes.
We flew right at we took off with no issues.
Yeah, I guess like my thing is just like also like tell some of the like it's like that thing with like sitcoms that like the characters are a certain way until like they do like one or two things that are really funny and then that kind of like becomes their character.
Mm-hmm.
So like we're still trying to like figure out that thing.
Right.
But yeah, so you excited?
I'm excited. I'm looking forward to it.
You excited to stay at Greendale for 4 years?
Yeah, but, well, here's the Tara. We're not going to talk about how community colleges typically 2-year degrees. Do community colleges even offer bachelors?
Anyway.
Okay. All right.
Cailin, remember, 6 seasons in a movie.
Okay. All right.
But anyway, so that's the end of this. Not the end. Well, we're going to take a quick break, and then we finish up that episode. We're going to take a break.
Woo.
And then we're going to talk about the next episode, Spanish 101.
Oh, yeah.
Good morning, look. How do we turn this off? Can we help me turn this off? Uh-oh.
My dad is Palestinian. I mean, he's a U.S. citizen. He's not a threat to national security or anything. A lot of people want to know that after they meet him because he has an angry energy. But not like angry at America, just angry at my mom for leaving him. Although if she did leave because he was angry, and he was angry because she's American. My name's Abed, by the way.
Abed, nice to know you and then meet you in that order. Now, about that question that I had.